Euromaxx highlights Lifestyle Europe. Coming up on the show. Design duo, how German twins are making a name for themselves on the London fashion scene. Great idea, an Austrian artist and his 730 square meter installation. Nordic fun, learn how to ride a kite buggy in Denmark. Euromaxx highlights, and here's your host, Karen Helmstedt.
Greetings from Berlin and a warm welcome to our highlights edition. Well, sunshine in the capital, and we're starting off on the Spanish island of Lanzarote, where sunshine was certainly instrumental in revealing the latest installation work of Luzius Ziermann. The German artist likes to turn art into a kind of exploration of different landscapes, and with 2,500 mirrors, he's left a reflective mark on a famous lookout point, but admittedly, it's best to be up high to savor its full effect.
Just a few more minutes, and Luzius Ziermann will finally be able to see what he's been working on for the past year. To check whether it really lives up to his expectations, he needs to gain an aerial perspective.
They're all reflecting. It looks like it was done on a computer, so nicely lined up, like a pearl necklace, almost artificial, as if it weren't handmade. It's perfect. I never expected this. It's great. It keeps getting more beautiful.
The Frankfurt-based artist chose a high plateau on northern Lanzarote as a location for his installation. Ziermann has built a glittering signpost over the black volcanic stone using old car mirrors. The artist says the sparkling symbol represents light.
I designed the symbol myself. It's mine. It means light. The vertical axis represents longitude. Then we have latitude, that's the horizontal one. Then we have the Earth's movement around the two brightest points of light that can be seen from the Earth. I've established this as a symbol of light.
A day earlier, Ziermann and his assistant were busy unpacking car mirrors.
I started in Heidelberg with 5 of them. I felt like a king.
The artist spent about 4 months collecting 2,500 mirrors from scrapyards. He brought them to Lanzarote by ship. The island's strict conservation laws almost put an end to the project, but then he found a farmer who agreed to rent him a field. Then he and his assistant got down to work, positioning the mirrors according to the exact design.
1,5.
Hier?
Bis hier.
Okay.
2 nach rechts.
Okay.
1 hoch und 3 nach rechts.
Okay.
It was a tricky job, requiring hours and hours of teamwork and absolute precision.
The sizes aren't important. More important are the angles. When the sun hits a small mirror full on, it's more effective than a big one that's only half in the sun.
But the thick layer of cloud is causing Ziermann some concern. Without sun, there'll be no reflections.
I chose this place because of the black sand that totally contrasts to the light I'm going to generate with the mirrors.
The next day, the sun is back, and the mirrors are sparkling. Lanzarote is the installation's second venue. It made its debut in 2010 in the red sand desert of Namibia. The sparkling sign was even visible from space.
I only planned to do Namibia, but while I was at it, I hit upon the idea of doing as many landscapes in the world as possible.
The artist repeatedly flies over his work in a helicopter to give a photographer an opportunity to capture the image. The thousands of photos he's taking are all that will remain of the installation after it is dismantled in 6 weeks' time. Luzius Ziermann will make large format prints of the photos and sell them for up to €2,000 apiece.
I want to signpost all kinds of landscapes, green ones, water, ice. I chose Lanzarote because it's one of the most striking landscapes known to man.
If it all goes according to plan, the red desert of Namibia and the black volcanic soil of Lanzarote will be followed by the lush green pastures of Ireland.
Not quite so green, but London is the chosen abode of German twins Annette and Daniela Felder. And together, their artistic vision has established them on that city's very glam fashion scene. The sisters launched their own label, Felder when they were still students at the famous Central St. Martin's Design College. That was 4 years ago. And with their rather bold and rebellious rock and roll style, they've now earned themselves a faithful following.
Hey, 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 hey,
Dark fabric, lots of leather, and daring designs feature in Felder's upcoming autumn-winter collection.
That's Annette Felder, my sister.
That's Daniela, and together we're Felder. Our style is very modern and cool. It's feminine, wild, and I think our style suits London.
The German sisters have been living in the English capital for the last 9 years. Their studio is in Notting Hill. The pair developed the designs for their clothes and accessories in tandem. Their dresses usually sell for between 21 and 2,500 euros. Their target group is outgoing women aged between 25 and 65 years. Their rock chick outfits have been donned by pop stars and film stars. The best-known customers are pop star Rihanna, Hollywood star Gwyneth Paltrow, and the British musician Florence Welch from the band Florence and the Machine.
We don't have a budget to pay the singers to wear our clothes. That's a pity, of course. But on the other hand, it's an even bigger compliment when singers or famous people wear them because they really love them.
For us, it's a dream come true, because music and musicians were the first sources that inspired us. And now we can design dresses for these people, and that's great.
Daniela and Annette grew up in Wipperfürth, a small town in western Germany. They first ventured onto the catwalk when they were in school. Their open-minded mother Brigitte was an important inspiration.
Then we began to discover music and clothes. Then we started to experiment a lot with our personal style, and it was very eclectic.
It was very far out.
Very far out.
Our mother was not impressed.
She was horrified.
As was the rest of the village.
After school, the sisters initially worked as models. They got to know a London fashion designer who later offered them an internship. In 2003, they started studying at Central St. Martin's, a renowned London art and design school. There, they developed ideas for a collection, founding their own label during their studies in 2007. 2 years later, they found acclaim on the catwalks of London and Berlin.
It's easy to start something, but establishing yourself is very, very difficult. Londoners like the new. Their eyes are open to everything that's new, young, and interesting. I think in other fashion cities, it's much more difficult to get the attention of the established fashion press.
The London restaurant Nobu is a popular meeting point for the international music and fashion scene. Annette and Daniela Felder are regulars here. Since 2010, the Nobu staff wear uniforms designed by Felder.
I think they're so hot right now because they're depicting a time and an energy, what London's about. And that's what about the designs, how they, it characterizes what's happening here in the city.
The designer's latest project is the interior of this apartment in London's Camden neighborhood. The project is inspired by the Irish-born painter Francis Bacon. Their style features textiles with fire prints, leather coverings, and metal rivets. The cost for the 50 square meter furnished apartment, around €500,000.
For us, it's very important to expand our brand. In 10 years, we don't just want to be designers. We want to have an international brand. Having that involves branching out into lifestyle.
The designers are no longer an insider tip on the international fashion scene. Their collections are sold in Europe, Asia, Australia, and the US.
We're still starting out. There's a lot more yet to come, although a lot has happened already. My feeling is that doors will continue to open for us.
Felder's next project is already being planned, opening their flagship store in London, of course.
Well, here it is, a positively glorious Easter weekend in Berlin. But despite the considerable temperatures, I know what my kids will be looking for on Sunday morning. Chocolate, chocolate, and more chocolate. Brightly packaged Easter bunnies and eggs of all shapes and sizes, like the ones you can see here, are the most popular sweets amongst children here in Germany. And for variations on the theme of Easter treats, we checked out what tradition calls for in countries like France, Italy, and Russia.
Every year, colorfully wrapped chocolate bunnies signal the coming of Easter in Germany, as do Easter eggs in all shapes and sizes. Colorfully dyed eggs are part of the Easter tradition in nearly every country in Europe.
It's a very old ritual. You welcome spring, paint eggs, and relish the fact that it's getting green and warm again.
Easter is a very important religious occasion. I don't go to church every Sunday, but I do on Easter.
My grandmother loved Easter. We all gathered around the table to celebrate. It's an important time for family being together.
I think sweets are wonderful. That's when I really indulge.
More than 100 million chocolate bunnies are sold in Germany each Easter. A German professor mentioned the bunny and writings more than 3 centuries ago, but it wasn't the only animal symbol of the holiday.
Just like it is with the Easter bunny and Easter eggs, there was also an Easter rooster or fox. It depended on the region. Now the bunny reigns supreme. I think it's because he's a bit cuter.
Easter marks the end of Lent, the 40-day Christian fast. In Germany, dyeing and decorating eggs is an old tradition. Years ago, eggs couldn't be eaten during Lent, so they were preserved and painted to distinguish them from uncooked eggs.
Easter has a Christian significance first and foremost. It's the celebration of Christ's resurrection. That's one meaning. Then there are the Germanic elements contained in the word for Easter. The original word is linked to fertility and the earth, and that's where there's a double symbolism. The bunny is known to be fertile, and the egg symbolizes fertility.
Eggs are also part of the Easter tradition in Italy. Large chocolate eggs filled with pralines and small surprises. Another Easter treat is colomba, a sweet cake in the shape of a dove. It's been part of the Italian Easter meal since the beginning of the 20th century.
We're very conscious of tradition in Italy, so we meet on Easter to eat colomba. It's also a symbol of peace.
In Russia, this cake is an integral part of the Easter holiday, the kulich. Years ago, it was seen as bad luck for the people if the baker's kulich didn't come out just right. Even today, some Russian families have their cakes blessed before they're served. It's an old Russian tradition.
After the crucifixion, Christ was resurrected and returned to the apostles. He broke bread with them. So originally, the cake was also called Easter bread. But over time, the name was changed. Today, the bread is a cake called kulich. For many people in Russia, kulich is one of the most important symbols of Easter.
In France, bells are given as gifts. Children are told that the bells fly to Rome on Good Friday and return on Sunday. That's why they don't hear them ringing in the days before Easter. Another symbol of Easter in France is the fish. It originated from an April Fool's tradition.
Fish are a religious symbol. But in France, we also have the custom of giving small fish as presents on April 1st. And because the date isn't normally that far away from Easter, the traditions mix. The fish on April 1st and the fish to celebrate Easter.
Baked goods and sweets in a range of shapes and sizes are key elements of Easter around Europe. It's a time to celebrate.
It's the beginning of spring, and nature is in bloom. It's also a time when many animals give birth to babies. It's the symbol of new life, the power of new life, renewal every year. And that's what we celebrate at Easter.
And no matter what the Easter treat, there aren't many left by the time the Easter celebrations are over.
Austrian artist Gerwald Rockenschaub initially started out as a painter and an installation artist, but he's also had great success as a DJ and as a pop artist. His major work can be classified as part of the Neo-Geo movement that started back in the 1980s. And to see what that can look like, we took in a brand new exhibition in Wolfsburg that gives Rockenschaub's brand of aesthetic an impressive spread.
Abstract illustrations of flowers, birds, or tennis rackets. 385 single images displayed over more than 700 square meters. In the middle of it all, a signature, GR. It stands for Gerwald Rockenschaub. He's the person responsible for this unique wall of art.
I don't really differentiate between large and small. It simply has a certain size. I was limited in some things due to the location here. They could only build up to 10.5 meters high.
Rockenschaub designed the symbols for the wall and then had them printed out on self-adhesive foil. The workers had to place them just right. The installation took 7 days to complete. It's a complicated process.
The work was fun. I hope that comes across and that it's fun to look at.
The flood of images is meant to reflect our modern, sensory-overloaded society.
You only need to go out onto the street and you're overwhelmed by the mass of signs and symbols. Rockenschaub portrays this situation through these images, which are unclear in their meaning, and which are meant to be unclear. That reflects the name of the exhibition here, multi-dial. It shows the huge number of options that we now have to choose from.
Das heißt, die Vielfalt der Wahlmöglichkeiten, die man hat.
At his studio in Berlin, Rockenschaub designed his supersized artwork completely on the computer. At the start of the process, he created a virtual 3D model of the exhibition space at Wolfsburg.
I always work with the architecture. What I mean by that is, I develop different concepts depending on the exhibition room.
He doesn't use any sort of special software for his pictures, just a normal drawing program.
Copy and paste and that sort of thing. You just have so many different options on the computer.
Rockenschaub has been working for almost 30 years with abstract symbolism. During his studies at Vienna's School of Art in the 1980s, he became part of the Neo-Geo movement, which used everyday motifs to create art. He's also made installations from PVC, like here in 2007 at the famous Documenta exhibition in Kassel. A year later, he decorated the facade of the Temporäre Kunsthalle, a trendy art gallery in Berlin. The Linz-born artist has been in Berlin for 12 years. His pictures have been shown at the exclusive Schuakri Gallery. Some of his works sell for around 50,000 euros. Back at the Wolfsburg Art Museum, he's used many of the symbols before. The wall is a sort of best of.
Another secondary thought of mine was to approach the whole thing in a sort of retrospective way. In other words, to use the forms I always have and present them again.
Throughout 30 years of artistic endeavor, Gerwald Rockenschaub has always remained true to his roots. Abstract art.
I'm good at it. And on the other hand, I could say I can't do anything else.
Multi-dial is merely temporary. When the exhibition closes in 5 months, the installation is due to be destroyed.
And finally, with the first whiff of warmer weather here in Europe, many people of the sportier persuasion are keen to get out their sporting equipment. And in addition to kite sailing on water, kite buggying is one of those sports that makes great use of high winds on land. Now, you sit in a buggy, rather like a go-kart, and then get pulled along courtesy of the kite high up in the air. It's best achieved on very flat, smooth surfaces. So we went to the beach on the island of Rømø, just off the west coast of Denmark.
80 kilometers an hour across the sand. For 2 years now, Sarah Bluhm from Hamburg has been running a kite buggy school on the Danish island of Rømø. She was originally a karate instructor.
I grew up with boys, so it always seemed natural for me to engage in men's sports. It's an extreme sport, but the important thing is not your gender, but having the right mindset. And both men and women can have that.
A helmet is mandatory, and being able to steer a stunt kite is a prerequisite for safe racing along the beach. Many kite buggy drivers later try their hand at kite surfing. It was the other way around for Sarah Bluhm. She began on the water and then switched later to buggies. She selects the kites for her beginners. Then she lays out the route so that her charges don't collide with the pros. Those who just want to try riding a kite buggy can book a starter course with her for 30 euros. First, she explains the technique for a proper takeoff.
And when you're in position, then open up the brakes, push off and let roll.
The starter course students first have to practice controlling the kite. Bjorn knows how to do that. He's been flying stunt kites for a year and is eager to try riding a kite buggy. He's booked a whole day's course for 80 euros.
Keep the brakes on while getting in. Get in. Put your feet up. Great. Now take your time while getting the kite up beside you, at about 9 or 10 o'clock. That's fast enough to start out. Work alongside yourself. Great. Keep the kite at the zenith.
As long as the wind blows, the beach on Rømø is full of buggy riders and those who, with the help of Sarah Bluhm, are on their way to becoming one.
And that's it for our highlights of the week. But if you'd like to see that program again, you can find it on our website. Just go to dw-world.de/English/Euromaxx. And with that, it's time for us to say goodbye. So until we meet again, alles Gute aus Berlin und tschüss.